All right, so we have our handsome Mr. Teddy. So I know Mr. T is in some of the structured play programs or program as well, and he's then doing doggy day school, so which is very exciting for the handsome guy. Ready, find it. So he is not as keen. There we go. He's getting better with his find it's. It's baby steps. So again, just like I've mentioned prior for some of the beauties, the benefit of some of these find it's, it can diffuse the energy off of you as the main target to now finding something on the ground. So for a lot of the babies, where they might find your pants or the leash or you itself being very intriguing, it can be a nice way to help them redirect onto something other than you. He's so funny. Ready, find it. There we go. He's going to get much more fluid with these find it's. I do love his topple, by the way. That's a great item for him. If you're ever wondering how to keep those filled and what to use for them, if you, I know you mentioned this morning, he's not a huge fan of the peanut butter. It didn't keep him engaged very long. I find you can use canned dog food. So if there's a certain brand your dog does better with, you can use canned dog food or canned puppy food. The other option is take some of your puppy's kibble, and then what you can do is let it hydrate with some water, and then it will get sort of soft and squishy, and then it can be, again, frozen. So you might find some of his kibble mixed with a few different training treats. Ready? Find it. Could be another great way to keep him busy. So a lot of puppyhood is going to be management and prevention. So I know you guys also have little humans as well. So I would highly recommend that if, let's say, he is at times having a harder time as mom is, holding the littlest one, or there's some excitement when some of the littles come back, or you too, is work a little bit through some of the skills. So again, that's a good moment too. He could also knock over his snacks. So I'd poured in some of his kibble to try to make the topple more intriguing, but he says he'll go for it now. So if your puppy is jumping, I know it's very common to get a lot of information out there. You can Google most everything. Doesn't mean it's necessarily appropriate or the best, latest information. So there is a lot of misconception out there that dogs are somehow pack animals, that they're like furry domesticated wolves within our homes. So the problem with using outdated information like the alpha wolf or the pack dominance sort of dynamic is that if you're using sometimes intimidation or fear-based tactics to try to stop behavior, we're more than likely actually just adding more anxiety and more of a breakdown to the relationship. So I know I've dived into this with a few other puppies in classes as well in the day school too, is that we want to try to build a rapport where our puppies feel safe communicating in the way that dogs do. And therefore, when they're feeling unsafe, they feel they can give a warning, say I'm overwhelmed or flustered, and we can help them through the situation. If our dogs are doing something we have deemed as bad or wrong, remember that puppies and dogs are amoral. So whatever they're doing is something that either makes them feel safe again, gives them a reinforcement or some sort of outlet, or gives them some sort of thing they find enriching or fun. So obviously for us, we do not like to go dig holes for fun or go try to find bunny poop or do these other things. But for puppies and dogs, could be very, very much so enriching. So for this handsome guy, if he's not as interested in the topple right now with some of his kibble, we can rotate and do a little bit with some wiggles. But two guys, if you're a little bit unsure on any of the skills, you can always reach out to me directly too. But for warm-ups, what I'm doing is a little bit of orientation back to me from the Find It. So this can be really helpful for bringing your puppy back into your space. Right now, he's just picking some of his food along the way. If you're also finding he is eating your fingertips, I would recommend, I know these puppy piranha teeth do not feel very good. So I like to feed, so I don't know if you can see, I like to do flat palm and I put the food in here, cover it with my thumb, move my thumb out of the way, and now the puppy gets to eat it off of my palm. So again, I could send him away. He's like, lady, I'm going to one day get better at these Find It's. Ready? So I'm going to show it to his nose and then throw it so he can go search for it. And then from there, we might work a little bit with name recognition. So Teddy, yes, He's like, oh my gosh, but there's so many crumbs. I know, we spilt them everywhere. Yes, nice job. So name recognition is so crucial because for a lot of puppies, they hear their name all the time and then we never tell them what we want. So the problem there is either their name starts to become the precursor to like, hey, you, knock it off, or hey, you, no. And the problem there is when you say their name next time, they might be like, no thanks, because it's been either a little bit confrontational or spooky. So back to your puppy being amoral, he does not understand that you're upset as to what he's doing. He thinks you're upset with him. The problem with that is he's not learning what not to do. He's just learning that at times we are scary or confrontational, and therefore maybe it's something that we have to be careful around us, and that relationship will start to hinder and start to break down. So again, we'll throw a little snack to do a little find it. I'm going to see if I can call him to me again from the distraction. Teddy. Yes. So this could be, again, the beginnings of those beautiful recall exercises. Even if you have a beautiful fenced-in yard, I would still highly recommend that you practice this either inside the home where it's not as distracting, or work it with the puppy having a long line. So Teddy, come. Yes, very pretty. So this way, you're building up that coming to you is not the end of the game. It's not the end of, enjoying the outdoors. Because if every time we call our puppy, we go back in the house, or we stop doing the fun outdoors, or we do something they find not as intriguing, your recall could be then the beginning of the end of the game. Or maybe, for example, they've done something and you call them to you. You never want to scold your puppy in general because they won't understand what you'd rather. They're just going to get scared. And it doesn't mean they're going to learn what not to do. They'll just learn that they can still maybe rock those skills, but when you're away. So a lot of times people will say like, oh, well, my puppy knows he did something wrong. Look at how guilty he looks. So the sad thing about that is that guilty look is actually your puppy saying, please don't hurt me. I come in peace and I really don't want to get, hurt in this process. So those are called appeasement behaviors. It's behaviors that would keep your puppy safe when another adult dog or something else comes near and they're trying to be like, please don't hurt me. I mean you no threat. So he's going to go grab a little drink. I've got the bucket over in the corner. So with this handsome guy, when there's things that we don't like our puppies doing, think if I don't love what he's rehearsing, what a smart man. Yes. So notice how he's starting to build in orientation to me without even being asked, which is really pretty. So, but if we don't like what our puppy is doing, think, what would I rather have that puppy do? Or if the puppy really can't handle the setup because either the environment is too stimulating, the scenario hasn't been rehearsed well enough where the puppy knows it. So when in doubt, if your puppy is failing, think, what could we do to prevent the rehearsal of being, again, for that situation, the failing moment, like maybe not coming when called. A way to prevent recalls being lost would be to not ask unless we know they're going to be able to handle it. So if you're not 80 to 90% certain the puppy's going to do a recall when you call them, don't bother asking. If your puppy is lost playing in the snow and they have their I'm busy doing snow time, don't keep repeating the recall because you're going to lose the value behind the word. 2, let's say he is distracted. I would go to my puppy or use a longer training leash so he can't keep wandering further away as I'm trying to go retrieve him. Thirsty boy. He's like, guys, I only had the water bowl the whole time, but now that we're having snacks, it's definitely thirsty time. So with Mr. T, if you're finding certain skills are still challenging, because again, he is a baby. Nice job. Here he comes, the wild boy. Good job. So if he finds certain skills to still be a bit hard, remember that he hasn't really rehearsed them well enough to know them. So view your puppy as a furry little exchange student, yes, who doesn't always know what you want from him verbally, culturally, or physically. So if your puppy has no idea, like let's say puppy push-ups, I'm not going to say the word over and over if my puppy has no idea what I'm talking about. So let's say I want to get the down position. If your puppy, let's say, for example, sometimes hear you say down 3, 4, 15 times as they're staring at you or walking away, the meaning behind the down might be out the window. So let's say we're going to get a beautiful sitting position. He's like, hold up, lady, I got so many good distractions over here. I know we spilt the bowl. What a silly goose. So right here, we might get our little sit. Yes. So I sometimes will feed a little jackpot, which is like, and he's mostly got his kibble and some of those training treats that you had brought. And from here, we're going to lower the food to the ground and see if we get him. If his whole body gets up, He could be a little confused. Again, generalization of skills with me compared to mom, compared to dad, to being at the home versus here, very different dynamic. Ready? Teddy. He's like, ooh, I just noticed there's a dog bed over here. So of course he trips on it. So if, let's say, you said his name, nothing happened, remember his name doesn't always necessarily mean do this thing. So if you say his name and he doesn't respond because he's maybe too distracted, we could get a little closer. Teddy, yes. And then help him be successful. So if you find you're repeating yourselves and it's almost just like noises in the wind, it's not going to help him gain the understanding. So right here, we might gain that little sit. And then right there, yes to feed. So if sitting is easier for him in the beginning, you could also then do a little find it, get him up to wiggle, and then you could try again for that sit once more. So again, hand up and above could be your sit, and then yes to feed that handsome boy. He's like, oh my gosh, I swear I lost a crumb, and it fell right in the crack. It's so sad. So let's say again, we're gonna rock another little sit because he wiggled. He's like, my brain's melting. So if he starts doing some jumping, yes, don't worry. So if your babe is really struggling, which from our perspective, the puppy starts to mouth, they're jumping, they're frolicking, it could be that they're getting a bit overtired. So even though he went in for a little nap, he may not have napped as well as he naps at home. So he could already by the end of the day be really tired. When any of the beautiful boys do go home, I would recommend to give them a chew or a puzzle toy or something that keeps them busy and give them a little break where they might take a good nap. Because you may find they come home and they turn around and they turn into like wild boys and they turn into like little Tasmanian devils. If you're finding that's happening, sit. Yes, it's going to be more than likely a moment where they're overtired. So now we're going to try for that little down. He's like, my brain is melted. So right here, if we don't quite grasp it, I'm going to try a little bit with the food in the hand to help him out. Yes. So for right now, he is still using the lure, which is where he's probably at. Keep rocking it for now, and eventually we fade out the food out of the hand, and we try to ask for the down without having the food shown first. So right here, if he gets up and he's a little distracted, remember attention spans for littles may not be very big. So we may find for him too, he did just go out for a little potty break, but he could be getting a little bit winded. So if, let's say, you're trying to work on, let's say, puppy push-ups and they're not going as smoothly as you would like, don't view it as a moment where your puppy is on purpose trying to be disobedient. Their disobedience is them maybe struggling, not understanding what to do next. I've got a feeling he probably has to go to the restroom again. So if your babe is not doing so hot, just try to break it down into smaller steps and see, have I actually worked on this in a safe or comfortable enough environment for my puppy to be able to rehearse it well before needing it maybe off leash in the yard or off leash in the kitchen or the living room where the littles might be doing their thing. Because if we're trying to work it in the moment, we haven't practiced well enough prior to have it be either a reliable skill or a well understood one. So right now he's distracted by the environment. I'm going to go, Teddy, come. What a big boy. Yes, nice job. I know I dropped one. He says that was delicious. So right here, his little snacks, the nice ones that you packed that you said were the high value, I am able to break those up even into smaller pieces. So even though he does like his kibble too with some easy peasy find its, those are more the lower end of the spectrum. And then you've got your other training treats in there like the Bill Jacks. Those could be another great option for rotating through a couple different snacks, which is great. But even the Bill Jack, I would then chop up into smaller pieces. So like right now for like loose leash walking, I'm just capturing all the moments Mr. Handsome is right by my side, be it left or right. So whatever makes sense to you guys. As I mentioned in the class, you guys are in the PK class. You may find that sometimes you rotate through, he's on the left side, and then other times he might be on the right side. He's like, I'm so tired, lady. We'll just do a few more laps and we'll work a few more skills. He's like, I can't chew and walk. It's a little challenging to chew and walk. Good job. So, but when you get some of this beautiful engagement, he's like, hold up. Did you forget to chew? When you're getting some of this really nice engagement, I would recommend to have a high enough rate of reinforcement, hi wild man, to make it seem valuable to do those things. So view every skill set or behavior as having a bank account. So if, let's say, sitting has a lot of good deposits into that account, it's more than likely going to be the one that happens really readily. So you can see he tends to go into sits pretty often, and that's because it probably has a lot more deposits into this account. If we're trying to build value, lady, I didn't see that one. If you're trying to build value in, let's say, the down position or a stand, that one maybe needs more practice being, finessed because it hasn't been quite as well rehearsed. So let's say, again, we're going to try for that down. We're going to lure with the food to the floor, down, and then yes to feed. So while he's there, we might even capture a couple moments while he's in the down. So I give him like 2 little tidbits for being there. So I'm going to try again to lure, down. And if he pops up, what you can try again is to lower the caboose and then try once more to lower the front end, but keep it near yes. Because if the food gets pulled forward towards like my feet or something, he's more than likely going to go from that sitting to sort of doing a down, but then standing up and walking towards you. This is really pretty. Nice. So I'm just going to feed a few extras. These are just parts of his kibble for holding that little down. Nice. But if throughout training your puppy starts to get very mouthy, ready? Stand. Yes. Then what's probably happening is they're getting a little burnt out or a little bit overstimulated or tired. So definitely rotate to items he should be able to play or not on. So right now he's doing a really nice job, but I'm going to grab just a few toys. So we'll grab a few different items. Ready? He's like, yes. So we'll toss out a few toys. So the benefit of having some novel items here and there that are not out the whole time is a lot of times, like let's say you're coming home from work and your spouse is there or vice versa, and now you're going to step in and the puppy's really excited to see you, which is fine. But maybe now, because they're so excited, that our arousal is kind of high, so their mouth might turn into its own creature. So the problem with that is then they might start mouthing you because you're the new thing in the environment. So what I like to do is have something novel that you could then present to your puppy that now, okay, we come home, people come into the environment, and we normally tend to get really excited. Let's do this instead. He's going through the tripod, but thankfully he didn't knock it down. Ready? Teddy, down. Yes, what a good job. So we may find for Mr. T, ready? You want to try some in here? Oh, maybe. So having those new items to redirect onto could be a great way to prevent that woohoo to flow onto you, but instead onto those targets instead. So you're not, again, trying to avoid a setup, but he doesn't know what to do with himself mentally or physically most of the time. And puppies explore their whole world through their mouth, which means that sometimes we're at the other end of that. So again, Teddy, come. Yes, what a good job, Mr. T. Brilliant boy. So, but remember too that if he is giving you a hard time, he's having a hard time. So think, what would I prefer this handsome boy to rock instead? So sometimes you might even take a few snacks, put them inside his little topple, and now he has to try to work them out. And that's a great way to both mentally and physically sometimes keep him a little preoccupied when maybe you need to put the groceries away, or maybe you're putting the little one to bed. But for his age group, I would almost recommend like an hour out, give or take, and then an hour or two for a nap, and then another hour out or so, and then another hour or two for a nap, and kind of rotate that way. If you're really struggling with house training, I would also recommend to keep a little journal, and it doesn't have to be extensive, but write how many outings he has to the restroom outside and how many, again, by mistake, inside restroom moments too. We don't want to scold for the mistakes because your puppy won't realize you're mad because of where they're going. They're going to think you're mad because they're going in the first place. And then you're going to get a puppy that is scared to go to the restroom in or near you because you have been unpredictable at times with going to the bathroom. So for puppies, especially when they're learning house training, we want to make it where going to the restroom is safe, even if you make a mistake, and that going outside is where the good stuff happens. So if, let's say, he's been doing pretty well with his house training, keep it up. But make sure too, if he's very food driven and he forgets to go to the bathroom because you've got snacks on you, maybe bathroom breaks, he gets extra exploration or more time to frolic in the snow after he's gone to the bathroom. But keeping a log of seeing how many potties he's having can give you a better understanding as to how many pees or poops he has in a day. And you can then be a little bit more proactive in knowing, okay, maybe it's been a little bit like an hour, maybe it's been 30 minutes, we need to sneak him out again. Anytime after drinking, eating, playing, or something exciting has happened, I recommend going outdoors. He's like, I'm gonna sit over here. You gonna take a nap? Ready? So we'll do another little check-in. Nice job. So maybe what we'll do is we'll sneak him out for a quick potty, and then we'll work a few more little skills with this handsome guy. He didn't really care about the toys, which is fine. He did go for his top a little bit. But then maybe we'll work a few more lovely skills with this gentleman. But as we've been practicing, his mouth is getting softer, which is great. So in the beginning, he was a little bit more jazzed, a little bit more excitable. So the mouth was a little bit harder, which can also be sort of a window into how comfortable your puppy's feeling, or even an adult dog. If they start to take food hard, it tends to mean they're overwhelmed, overstimulated, or kind of stressed. Nice job. So, but we'll sneak this handsome monkey out for a little potty, and then we'll work a few more skills. Maybe we'll do another little find it so we can stay a little bit busy. Ready? Teddy says, oh my gosh, there's snacks everywhere. Ready? Teddy, come. So right there, beautiful little recall. I'll feed him for that. And then we'll go into a little find it, and then we'll rotate through some more skills for Mr. T.